You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today, we're talking about 3 ways we, myself and Jason, use our intuitive skills every day. If you're listening right now, chances are you have intuition, but need more information about how to use it and even access it. Stay tuned. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason, tell the audience the 3 ways we use our intuition every day.
So the first way is we evaluate people.
Yes.
We evaluate trends, and we take a deep dive into all sorts of things that you never see in a programmed world.
Correct.
Which we call conditions and situations, which I think is the most valuable and most fun.
Okay.
But first we have to address the elephant in the room.
You are not calling me fat.
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
Just want to make sure.
The elephant in the room is we never predict the future because we live in a world that has free will.
And it's really important for everyone to understand, whether you believe in God, the creator, or not, we have free will. And what that means is you have the ability in you to make choices. And the hard part, because of programming, we've struggled to choose the difference between the light and the dark, or negative energy and positive energy.
Yes. So when we make choices, things can change all of a sudden.
All the time.
And what we see, especially when we work with clients, is they make those choices more frequently and their future changes in a positive way.
Very much so.
So for us, it's not about predicting the future. It's about seeing trends, which is what the second way we use our intuition, and then using those trends to help people make it better for them.
Right.
So,
well, we use something else as well.
What?
The Enneagram.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Here's the other thing that people think.
Okay.
Is that when they use their intuition, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta
zone
in and just use my intuition. It's never like that.
No.
It's never ever like that.
No, it's not.
What we use is it's a holistic approach.
Okay.
So your intuition is integrated with your judgment, your creativity, your imagination.
Correct.
All these other things, and so it's not really like I'm using my intuition now, or no, I'm not using my intuition. It's you're always using your intuition.
Right.
So with that said, here's the other part that people don't get. Your intuition isn't really a thing. It's a pathway.
You want to explain that?
So it's a pathway to your essence, to the non-physical dimension.
Okay.
And what determines whether it's good or not, we all have intuition.
Yes, we do.
Is the negative energy that's attached to us. And how do you get rid of that negative energy? You clear it.
Exactly. With the ecosystem approach.
Hence, yes, the ecosystem approach. Exactly. So how do we evaluate people? So that's so.
Okay. Oh, and let me ask that question again.
Yes.
Jason, how do we evaluate people?
Well, we use the Enneagram.
Okay.
And we use that as part of our ecosystem approach. But what's interesting about the Enneagram, and I want to tell you a story about that. When I first started doing this, I went to a clairvoyant who told me about my intuition. So I just started using it. I just started, I didn't know what I was doing. I just went out there and just did it. And I knew that the Enneagram was always going to be part of what we do.
Okay.
I knew that. And I started doing
it. Just felt right.
Just felt right.
Okay.
And I was fairly knowledgeable about the Enneagram at the time. And I know more about it now. And if you want more information, we've done some shows about the Enneagram.
We have.
But truly, what I did back then is I used to give away free sessions.
Right.
And what I would do is look at someone and say, okay, what's their Enneagram type? And then from there, I would get impressions. And then I just, in my mind, I was guessing. I was like, I just throw something out.
Okay.
So this person is a 7, so I'm just going to throw something out. Or this person is a 4, I'm just going to throw something out. Okay. Well, people started saying to me, oh my gosh.
How did you know that?
How did you know that?
I know. I've heard that one.
No one's ever said that to me.
Yeah.
No, I've never said that to anybody. How did you know that?
Right.
And I thought I was guessing, which is, and for those of you who think you might have a little bit of intuition, but you don't know,
it's going to feel like you're guessing.
It's going to feel like you're guessing.
That's true.
And after a while, you develop confidence.
Right.
And the biggest change in my intuition has not been my actual intuition, but it's been my confidence about my intuition.
Exactly.
When we do something intuitive now, it's like, we know, we just go in there and we got this,
Exactly.
Anyways, so that's how we start. And when you use the Enneagram to evaluate someone,
right,
you also can see where they are in terms of the amount of negative energy attached to them.
Yeah, it's really true. And oftentimes, if you ask them a question, I'm going to say the reaction to how they answer that question tells you so much.
Yes,
it really does. And
or just looking at them in context of their Enneagram type.
Yes.
One of the things that we see all the time. My mother's a 2. You have a sister that's a 2.
Yes,
we're very familiar with 2s.
Right.
We have a lot of experience with 2s. And
quite a few clients that are 2s.
Yes. And we can tell the low level 2s have a certain feel.
And the higher levels have a different feel.
And they act differently.
They do.
2s struggle. One of the things, if you know the Enneagram, and by the way, if you've never ever heard of the Enneagram is a personality typing system.
That is correct.
There's been a lot been written about it, and
right. And you know what? Just so anyone who doesn't know, it's spelled ENNEGRAM.
So you spell it, then you misspell it.
I misspelled it.
ENNEAGRAM.
Excuse me. Okay. Before the clearing, that would have really embarrassed me. But the truth is, I really didn't see it correctly. Okay.
So she's going to the eye doctor in a few weeks. So anyways,
next week, yeah.
So if you're interested, go look it up. It's fascinating.
It's fascinating. And by the way, I guarantee you, if you haven't done this before, I guarantee you'll read the book, or think that you're this, you might be this or that, and you'll want to be something different than you are. And by the way, I see that happens with about 80% of the people that I send to the Enneagram.
Yeah, typing is another thing, and we've done shows about it, and that's something else. But the truth is that we use that as sort of a crutch. I don't know if you to look at people, and then we can evaluate them in terms of their type. Yes. So if someone's a 2, we know what kind of behaviors happen with a more evolved 2 and less evolved 2.
Yes.
And we can do that with other, all the other Enneagram types.
Right.
So, so let's give some more examples. Okay. One of the things that we're always asked to do is look at relationships.
Always. Or
other family members. People come to us that they're struggling with a family member.
Those are relationships. Usually the ones they don't want to have.
Yes. But and they're struggling with someone in their family, and they want to see, they want to know about this other person.
Right.
Because half the time they see them as they are, but they just can't accept it.
Yes.
Exactly. So, it's hard to say, well, she's my sister, but she's awful to me. It's just hard to accept.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. I agree.
We've used this in the corporate world.
Yes, we have.
To help we'll go through a department, or in the corporate world, there's always your department against another department,
right?
And who's trying to get leverage,
well,
and you're
and
gaming and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
we've done really well with that. We don't like to do that. We stopped doing that a lot because at some point it just feels, we want to help people grow and develop.
Yes, we're not looking for people to use it as a weapon.
Yes, as a weapon or some sort of advantage, but we help people all the time with that.
Exactly.
So we've used it in our personal life.
Of course.
You want to talk about that? We have the UPS guy,
right?
The sandwich lady.
Yes, exactly. And of course, I have practiced like Jason, not quite as long as he has, but when I look at someone, I can tell what their Enneagram type is, and usually I have to just look at them for less than a minute, and I can see it. Now, doesn't mean I'm perfect every time. I usually will confirm with Jason because he is an expert. But the other thing is it helps us deal with them. For instance, the UPS guy, nice guy. I've already figured out he's a 6. So I figured it out.
The point is that once we see them,
yes,
we use our intuition to see them, then we can respond to them in a very positive way to give them what they need
for their Enneagram type
in that situation.
That is correct. Well, the sandwich lady, same thing.
Yeah.
We when we go to town, we get a sandwich, and yes, that's one of the same things that we do.
And she loves you. She sees you coming.
Oh, she does.
And she makes a nice sandwich for you.
She does. Oh, she makes a really good sandwich. Yes, she does.
The point is that we don't say, well, you're I see that you're kind of a bitch. We don't do the negative stuff. We just do the positive stuff.
Right.
But it helps us. It's like grease. Okay.
Right.
Tell them about the time
I was invited to a conference.
Yeah.
And it was kind of at the last minute, but I went, and I didn't know that they had ulterior motives for me. And they
had a plan for you. It wasn't ulterior
motives. Yeah. And they informed me that I was going to read everyone personally in the room. And I went, oh, okay. Well, I did. And
it was just the good stuff, though.
It was. And I made sure that I did not read anybody or tell any of the bad things. And even some of those people wanted to say, what is in my future? I'm not a fortune teller. I want you to know that I am not a fortune teller. And the thing that I said to them is, if you want to know your future, I can't help you because you get to change it in less than a heartbeat, if that's your choice.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Intuition is not a thing, but a pathway that can be refined with clearing. Mm-hmm. Intuition is never used separately, but holistically in conjunction with other intellectual abilities. And the Enneagram is a valuable tool to use intuition to see, to evaluate, and determine motives of people more clearly.
Yes.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to refine your intuition with clearing so everyone can have this ability.
I love it. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the second way we use our intuition, which is to evaluate trends and situations so we can see the path forward. This is different from predicting the future, but can be very, very, very valuable. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the second way we use our intuition, which is to evaluate trends and to see the path forward. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery, and that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason, what do you mean by a trend? And can you give us examples?
So people have come to us over the years to evaluate what I would call a trend. Mm-hmm. And we're using that term, but trends are groups of energies that come together for a purpose. And we can evaluate the strength, the effectiveness, the quality, the attractiveness.
Sure.
You know, recently we had a musician come to me, and he's trying to promote his work through a couple channels, and it's not that we can predict the future and say, yes, it's going to be successful. No, it's not going to be successful.
Right.
Because first of all, that's subjective. What is success and what isn't, you know, that sort of thing. But we can see the trend. You know, in this case, he had everything going for him: the talent and the desirability. And
I happen to know who this is.
And then
great talent.
And then we can just, with that, we can just look at the trend and know kind of where we're going. And then if there's anything that's out of place, we can help clear that to make it better.
Right.
Trends is far more effective in our minds than trying to predict the future, because the future, if someone says to you, if you go to, in fact, there's a town that we drive into the big city that we drive into every week, and there's a place it's a psychic. It's $10 for a reading or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's very black and white. You know, what car should I buy, or what should I do? Should I do this or should I do that? You know?
Yeah. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. Sure.
Those are dumb questions to ask a psychic or intuitive, and please don't. You know, you know, if you have those kind of questions, we want to help you make your future yours. And so according to what you want. Yes. You know, and then we help you say, okay, this is how you get there.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why we call it a trend.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's all sorts of, we're going to give you some examples, but one of the most common ones, people come to us before they get married.
Oh, they do. And the big question is should I marry him or should I marry her? And first off, that's not a question for me. But what I do in that situation is I turn it around and say, what is it that you want in a partner? And does this partner match that for you?
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Yes.
I give them a logical, objective way to do this. And it actually works. But I also have to say, I've known people that I've worked with, and I've said to them, well, it looks like there's quite a bit of conflict here or there. And they've gone ahead and done it anyway. And meaning getting married, that kind of thing. But I still help them all the way through it.
And we always say that. You know, one time we went to and I think this is a really great story, but we went to a client's wedding, and we were sitting at a table where everybody, I think all the women had a session with us, or if not multiple sessions.
Multiple, by all means.
And the husbands were joking around that, you know, because this is the misconception.
Right.
You know, we talk about trends, and we have this very legal, so we don't tell someone whether someone is good or bad.
Right.
But the husbands were joking that, hey, you can't make it past first base unless you get Jason or Patricia's approval.
Exactly.
Which is not like it is at all.
And it's not that way. But of course, everybody laughed and roared, and then the bride came around and she said, absolutely, that is the way that it is. And all the guys went, really? You know, it was quite entertaining. We cracked up about that one, and obviously we're still laughing about it.
Well, I think they're still a little bit scared of us.
Yeah, that could have been.
Like if they get in trouble, they're going to be sent to Jason or Patricia.
Yes, exactly.
But we're not that way. We don't do it that way.
No, we don't.
But we look at trends. So marriage is a big one. Divorce is a big one. You know, should I get divorced? Should I not get divorced? A lot of people start a business.
Yeah. And we've had a lot of people do that.
A lot of people do that.
And successful ones for sure.
And, but some of them, they're running away from a job that they don't like.
Right. Or a person they don't like in a job.
And that's not a good, when you look at the trend there, a lot of times you don't see what you need to see for someone to have a successful run.
Exactly. Yes.
And even if you have it successful today,
right,
you know, 6 months from now, there may be some things that are happening that kind of, that trend is kind of reversing or going in another direction.
Or turning in another direction. And the bottom line is that when that starts happening, do clearing. to either figure out what's right for you or wrong for you. And by the way, it's never black and white. It's never one way or the other. And so when I say it that way, it sounds like I'm saying it. But what I'm saying is that when you start clearing all the negative energies that are keeping you from the clarity you need about a decision, marriage, divorce, new job, all those kinds of things, it's pretty amazing. Well, here's one of the biggest ones. How about exercising and losing weight?
Yeah.
So many people get stuck in all of that. They don't think about what's in their best interest.
Well, they come to us and they're either angry, they're having a difficult relationship, they're having all these things, and they think that losing weight will solve their problems in these other areas, and it doesn't work that way.
No.
And in fact, though, that energy from those other areas are like sabotaging energies that'll keep you from losing weight.
Well, and I'm just kind of throwing this little extra. Negative energies actually store in the fat in our body. It's one of the places that, and negative energy can store anywhere in our bodies, and we don't even think about it because we've been programmed that's not true. But I guarantee you it's true.
Well, I want to tell the audience what everybody knows anyways, but anybody can force themselves to lose weight for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
Well, even 6 months.
6 months.
Yes.
But eventually those negative energies pop up and all of a sudden they're back to where they were or worse.
Or worse. They've done studies about how people gain back all of the weight plus 7 to 13 pounds more. That's like the average, and that's been a study. So, but we've helped people with schooling, that kind of thing. And well, of course, choosing a different job. In fact, I was working with someone yesterday about choosing a different job and what do you want?
We get that all the time.
We do.
Should I take this job? Or I'm offered this new promotion in a different department. Should I take that? We look at the trend, and that's really helpful.
Exactly.
So I think this story is really
I have a personal story. Years ago, right after my 22nd birthday, I was operated on. They called it football knee, and which that was what they said at the time. Well, it wasn't. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and a very severe case. The doctor said on a scale from 1 to 10, by the time you're 30, I have a 7 right then. By the time you're 30, you will be living in a wheelchair. I didn't realize it, but I had used my intuition in this situation. And of course, it made me very mad and very upset, but I refused. I'm a dancer. I don't live in a wheelchair. Let's put it that way. And so I basically got down. I said very nasty things to the doctor, and I basically walked out. He said, "Come back. We need to take those stitches out." And I just kind of said later.
But the point
is that along the line, someone had said to me, have you thought about changing your diet? And I was like, what do you mean? And they said, food can really make a difference. So through a lot of research and a lot of help from people who knew these things, and by the way, this was more than 30 years ago, I became a vegetarian. And I was a vegetarian for 30 years. And then I met Jason.
Okay. So, but you're missing the points here. The points here is that she saw that the best trend for her was vegetarianism at the time.
And it worked.
To help you with the rheumatoid arthritis. And it worked.
And it worked.
And that was very successful. And then when we met.
Yes, exactly. And I started doing the clearing. All of a sudden, I had cravings for meat that I had never, ever had before. I mean, not even when I did eat meat 30 years before. And I was craving it so bad. I finally said to him, I am just craving meat. And he said, well, just eat it. I said, no, you don't understand. And so I have to say this. I made him promise me that if I had a reaction to eating this meat, by the way, it was a T-bone steak that he fried for me, and it was fantastic. But if I had a reaction, he promised me he would take me to the hospital because they could at least give me drugs to really stop the pain.
The point is that at that point, I could see the trend was not to have you sick by eating meat.
Exactly. It was what my body was telling me.
It was the way we use our intuition to evaluate. And so in the
awesome.
beginning, I think it's a great story because in the beginning, you saw the trend to use to be a vegetarian to get rid of the
toxins in my body.
Yes.
And it worked.
And then we changed.
Yes.
And now we've been together a few years now, and we're both thinking about, okay,
do we need to change some things in our diet and so forth?
We're looking at the trend.
And we actually have a lot of things, especially in the last year or so. So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
The future cannot be predicted, but trends can be seen energetically and evaluated. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's important. Really a trend are energies that are in alignment with an objective or a path that could be seen with other energies. Mm-hmm. And that seeing trends for yourself always allows you to evaluate them and then clear the energies that are blocking you, mm-hmm. like with
your arthritis. That's exactly basically what happened.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to see energies in your life and determine what is blocking you as you go forward.
Exactly. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the third way we use our intuition, which is to look at all sorts of conditions and situations. And, the results might really surprise you. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the third way we use intuition, which is to look at all sorts of conditions, situations, and the results, well, they might surprise you. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the ecosystem approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason, here we go. Explain to the audience what you mean by using intuition to look at conditions. And, that sounds a little confusing. So,
okay, so we look at all types of things to see the energies attached. Mm-hmm. And this is where your intuition can really explode. Mm-hmm, yeah. Now, we see an energy or personality connected to conditions and situations that help us understand them in a way that can affect them in a positive way.
Okay.
And this is a very powerful use of intuition. Now, I was just thinking about this.
Okay.
We were watching a movie the other day.
Go ahead.
And we were watching a movie the other day, and the young teenager said, "I don't eat meat anymore. I'm a vegetarian." And they asked her why. She said, "Because when you eat meat, you're eating the fear."
Oh yes, yes. I remember that.
Of the meat, when they're being slaughtered.
Right.
And we see, and they just ridiculed her at the table for saying that. It was pretty nasty.
Pretty bad, yes.
But we see that those types of things can be very valuable. So, for example,
okay,
if you're concerned about the fear in your meat, which you can evaluate on a case by case basis.
Yes, you can.
And we'll have to do a show about this, but you can put good energy into your food. Yeah.
Oh, and I have to tell you, that has been amazing. How we've done that. I truly love that. It's one of my favorite things to do when I'm cooking.
When she's cooking and she's happy, and when she's going to her garden and taking the stuff out of the garden, it creates a whole different energy ecosystem.
It truly does.
For the food that we put in our stomach.
Yes.
So one of the first things we did that I think is looking about a condition or a situation.
Right.
We looked at the COVID-19 virus.
Right. And by the way, this wasn't the first thing, but it was one of the things that it really surprised us to see, and I'm going to say it this way, the energies / personality of the virus. And we did, like I said, we did shows. We did like 3 or 4 shows on this. And, but it was so interesting because I was looking, and the anger and the mean, vicious mean. And then there was this sneaky part. And it was like, oh, this is awful. I don't want to have anything to do with this.
Yes.
And it was one of the reasons I never wanted to have anything to do with it. And also, I was very careful about washing my hands, and I'm still washing my hands and wearing a mask and that sort of thing. And but the bottom line is that it really woke me up about conditions.
We can look at all sorts of things. That was one thing. Okay.
That was one.
Another thing that we've looked at for a long time is fat cells.
Yes,
because so many people come to us about weight. Yes. So you look at the fat cells in someone's body, and they're trying to lose weight, but they've got all this, all the anger and rage.
And by the way, I happened to see, and it was from the show last week, about the fight that we have with ourselves about it. Go back and look at that show. We've heard some comments, and we have heard some amazing comments about how that show was so informative. But let's move on. We've looked at a family more than once.
We've had so many clients who talk to us about their family, and we look at the energy of it and what they see and what we see in terms of the energy, they don't match up.
They don't. Well, and the other thing is remember, what people show to the world isn't always who they really are.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's programming.
Yes. And so that's an amazing use of energy. It's also a company. You can see the overall energy of a company. Right. You can see certain departments.
Yes.
Most managers say, well, I know I have a problem here.
Right.
But by looking at the energy of the problem, they can get an idea about how to fix it in a way that's far better than
firing someone and hiring someone else,
or the typical business fixes that you do.
Exactly. Which is that kind of thing. The other thing that we've done is we've looked at physical parts on people to see, and including ourselves, to see what negative energies are there.
Liver.
Yes.
We've looked at tumors.
Yes,
we've looked at thyroid. We've looked at heart. Yeah.
Many. And by the way, I've also looked at animals with the same thing, and in the same way. And
we had that one, and we even talked about this, but the one client who had this pain in his shoulder. And you saw a past life.
I did. And by the way,
he went to the doctor, it didn't help.
And the doctor said, well, then don't do that.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there, that kind of thing. But the bottom line is, in fact, I actually asked that client just a few weeks ago, have you had any reoccurrence of that? And he said, not one. And it was because I got rid of the negative energies from that memory. And by the way, that happens to all of us all the time. You don't even realize
when you see the world through a form of energy, you see so many more things than you do than if you just look at a black and white in a programmed world. Right. And it's kind of ironic because the people that are programmed, scientists often, and one of the things that we're going to talk about in just a minute is that we think that everybody should have intuition and develop their intuition, especially scientists, medical professionals, that sort of thing. Exactly. But right now there's a form of being discredited
for that
and ridiculed for that.
Well, and you know what, I'm gonna bring up,
and we just use our intuition, so we don't put it out there.
Yes.
When it's not necessary, or when it's not.
Well, and one of the biggest cancers that is out there today is breast cancer. It happens in men, but mostly in women. And when I look across the board at anyone that I've looked at with cancer, the number one thing that I see is anger energy and victim energy. And it's ironic how they don't even think or know that they're angry, and they certainly don't see that they're a victim.
We heard a statistic a long time ago that since we lived in the Bay Area,
Yes.
that up in Marin County,
oh yeah,
it was one of the most one of the richest
highest cancer. Oh,
breast cancer. It was
yes.
one of the highest, but it was one of the richest counties at the time. And I don't know if it's still true or not.
I don't either.
Or in terms of the cancer statistic or the money statistic.
But the point is
that they had the highest incidence of breast cancer, and they were trying to study it to figure it out.
Why?
But we saw right away that it's, women in Marin County, and this is a generalization, but what we saw in general was that they're either high achieving, which means they've rejected
themselves.
They've rejected the female part of themselves.
Yes.
Or they're I don't know how to say this politely.
They're partners.
They're trophy wives. They're the people that are there for their husbands who are high achieving.
Right.
And they use their sexuality in a way that they feel discredited for.
Exactly.
So it's a form of rejection of the breast.
And remember that toxic energy, for lack of a better way to say it, can eat you alive. And that's one of the things that happens. But when you know your story and you start removing the negative energies for you, you can prevent a lot of things. I'm not saying it happens overnight. I just want to make sure that we talk about that.
So here's the promise of using intuition for yourself. And I wanted to talk about this. This is in the age of Aquarius, and there's always a phone,
there's always a phone somewhere.
So in the age of Aquarius, we have the possibility of using intuition in ways that are just amazing.
Yeah.
And we can see it, that it will be for someone who all the professions will have intuition.
Correct.
Medical scientists, medical professionals, policemen, firemen.
Exactly.
Everybody that EMTs, customer service, government officials. It'll just make everything different.
Right. And understand that all of us are in the age of Aquarius. It's not something that we can just choose to be. We're in it. And now is the time to start using the ecosystem approach, so you can be aware of everything that is around you, and especially connected to the age of Aquarius, because there's some amazing things coming our way. And that's not a prediction, that's a knowing.
So should we do Jason, the key points?
Yeah, that's right. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Many conditions or situations have energies. And once you know the energy, you can affect it. Once you know the personality or emotions connected to a condition or a situation, you can clear it.
Right.
And without intuition, these conditions and situations are not clear or manageable.
All right.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to see conditions, the energies of conditions and situations.
Okay. And you know what? We're running out of time in this segment. So we'll explain how to clear in the next segment.
Okay.
Right before we do the clearing. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to do some clearing to help you restore your intuition in a way that is more in alignment with the way you were designed. I mean, wow, think about that. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to do some clearing to help you restore your intuition in a way that is more in alignment with the way you were designed. We ran out of time in the last segment, so we are going to teach you how to clear, and then we'll do the clearing. Ready?
So it's very simple.
It is.
You can sit, stand, lie down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have any particular posture.
Okay.
You don't have to be reverent.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is in your mind's eye, when we say to eliminate, gather that stuff up and blow it into the processor. I know Olivia's going to put a picture of the processor up. And that processes the negative energy, so it becomes neutral. It comes out neutral.
Exactly. So, and if you don't have a picture of the processor, or you're just listening to us on just podcast, with audio podcast, just think of a garbage can, or have a garbage can near you, that kind of thing. Throw that negative energy in there. Once it goes in the garbage can, no matter what, it doesn't come back out. In other words, it's good for you to get rid of it. And it really helps not only you, but the environment as well. And then we're going to do life force energy, and we're going to call upon that. We're going to have it come in through the top of our head. And we're going to have that life force energy help us do a little more clearing as well. So with that said, Jason, rock and roll.
So here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barriers so I can see the benefit to using my intuition in all areas of my life.
I love that one. Take a nice breath and blow out any negative energies that are barriers that are keeping you from using your intuition. And then we're going to move on and to eliminate the false belief and fear that intuition has no credibility or is connected to, has no credibility and is not connected to reality, when the truth is none of that is the truth. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any embarrassment that I have because I didn't finish the other clearing. So we're just gonna have to wing it. So
all right, I love it. Okay,
I just
good.
want to tell you that. So
I hadn't even noticed. So here we go. And to eliminate the blocks that are keeping me from using my intuition to laugh at myself and all of the things that I think are wrong with me. And yet, if you can do that, you're using your intuition. Take a breath, nice and easy. Just use one thing.
And to eliminate the feelings of anger, hate, rage, and bitterness, which clog up my intuitive pathway.
Oh, that one is so big, because when I have to jump in and say, when we started clearing that for me, when I started clearing it, unbelievable, my intuition exploded. I admit, I've known about my intuition all of my life. Take a breath, everyone.
And to eliminate the fight energy that I have with the logical part of myself and my intuitive part of myself, that says it has to be one or the other when it's not the case.
And that it can only be one way.
Yes.
When the truth is that's not the case at all.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate the false belief that says I have to be a victim to my intuition and how I see the world from a different perspective when I start using the ecosystem approach. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions and the barriers to my confidence, so I can know that I have intuition. And if I don't think it's very strong, I can refine it and develop it by using the ecosystem approach.
Take a breath.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate my fear that others are going to doubt what I see and what I say. I release and let go that fear and that fear of that doubt, when the truth is, if you see it, there has to be some connection to what you're seeing. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any righteousness that I have that says, if this is how I feel, so it must be true, isn't necessarily true either. So
correct.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions that are keeping me from seeing what is true about my intuition and what I see and what is not, what happens to be some of my personal stuff getting in the way. Take a breath.
And that's one of the things we teach you with the ecosystem approach. It's not an either or with your intuition or logic.
Yes.
We show you how to integrate it by eliminating the negative energies that's attached to you. So
and blocking you.
So let's clear some of those negative energies so you can develop your intuition right now.
I love that.
And to eliminate the hurt and depression and unworthiness that I carry that blocks my intuition. Take a breath.
That was togetherness, if I ever saw it. It was good. And to eliminate the blocks that are keeping me stuck believing that only programming is the right way, when the truth is, no, it's not. Take a breath.
And to eliminate that anger, bitterness, and resentment that I have, whether I'm aware of it or not, that always blocks intuition.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Well, here's a big one. And certain Enneagram types, this is more than others, and to eliminate the false belief that my emotions always tell me the truth. Therefore, that means I have to be right, when the truth is, that is not necessarily the truth. Your emotions don't always tell you the truth. Take a breath.
And to eliminate my fight energy with the world that says, no, you don't have intuition. And I'm saying, yes, I do have intuition. Clear that fight energy and see what happens.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
And we talked about this a couple of shows back, but we don't ever lead with, hey, we're intuitive and this is what this is what we see. You know, we just set ourselves up to be ridiculed, especially in the world the way it is.
Right. So,
you know, if someone wants to know, you know.
Okay. And here's a really good one. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that restoring my own ecosystem by using the ecosystem approach is a real way to get to the objectivity of not only about who I am, but also the objectivity and truth around you. Take a breath. And to activate. I'm going to jump in and activate life force so that I can use life force energy for all that I need, want, desire, and deserve. And that includes clarity, awareness, and objectivity and creativity. Starting right now, call in that energy, have it come in through the top of your head, let it go all the way down to the tips of your toes. Stop it right there so that you can turn it around and get rid of any negative energy that you're still holding on to. Take a breath. And to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy and creative, but also know who and what is in my best interest and know how to use my intuition in my own highest and best interest for anything and everything that I do in the world today, starting right now. Nice and easy. Call upon that, have it come in through the top of your head, all the way down to the tips of your toes. Stop it and then turn it around. Blow out any negative energy that's left over. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
The imposter syndrome.
Okay, I'm not real clear on this one.
That's where people in the typically high achieving people feel like they're going to be found out at any moment, that they have credentials and they're allowed to do things, but they don't really trust that who they present to the world is really who they are. Yeah. Now, we saw a great example of that. We're a big fan of Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, love her.
And we've seen a couple of documentaries lately where it said she didn't believe she was that good.
Oh, and she was amazing. You want to hear
she was an amazing talent, but she didn't believe it.
Yeah.
And that's a classic example of imposter syndrome.
So Linda, if you're listening, do me a favor and I'm sorry, send me an email on
at hello@theecosystemapproach.org.
Exactly. And I would love to work with you, Linda. I just want you to know that. And I want everyone to know that because I think she's amazing.
So, but next week is going to be really important because, guilt and shame is a big deal for everyone.
It is.
And imposter syndrome is all about that. So tune in next week.
Nice.
And if this has touched you today, if you say, okay, I need to develop my intuition.
Or what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something for me. This feels really good to me.
Right.
Go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org, and sign up for our free section.
Love it.
And when you do that, you'll get weekly clearings that are all written out for you, so you can read them on your own.
And you can do the clearing, with yourself, which is amazing.
And you can watch our shows on our Facebook page, theecosystemapproach.org. And when you're there, please like us. I always
he likes that.
I always appreciate that.
All right. So next week, we'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern time. This is Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.